that would be a statement. What that would be a story in Trump's district for her to be.
Oh yeah.
She'll gain immediate national recognition as get rid of the Boehners and the McConnells and all of the old.
Oh yeah.
The old bureaucratic, Republicans that are out there. How you feeling?
I'm fine. I'm great. Yeah.
You've been on the ball, man. You've been.
I like this new place
No,
we're
I
at.
love the fact that you're standing.
I
you're
have a
move.
chair, but I don't.
No,
You can stand if you want.
The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free.
If I get animated, I'll stand up.
Okay. All right, third and final hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. And this is, we're just finishing up our third week in the new studio. Ed Pasquale for the first time in our new studio. Welcome, Ed.
Well, Brian, I'd like to say your new studios are beautiful. What a pleasant surprise.
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
But more importantly, what was a wonderful surprise on my way up, I was listening to Laura on the radio.
Laura Loomer.
What a bright, articulate young lady.
Yeah.
I think she is the face of the future of what the Republican Party needs to be. She's got a lot of energy. She was extremely articulate, intelligent.
Do you know anything
nailed
about Laura
all the
Loomer?
issues.
Have you heard of her before? Do you know her?
No, it was the first time I had heard of her.
You gotta Google. Laura Loomer, who almost got me arrested one night. But I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it. But I'll tell you that story later. But Laura Loomer, she was an investigative journalist for a long time. She started out with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe. First time I heard of Laura Loomer was after the Vegas shooting. She tracked down the security guard that was inside. But when they were doing that Julius Caesar Trump play in New York, do you remember that? Remember the Julius Caesar Trump play? Laura Loomer jumped up on stage to stop the play before the tragic scene at the end, and she is a go-getter who takes crap from no one. And unlike a lot of these younger people that run for office, she's got a list of accomplishments already. She's top journalist. Journalist.
She seems to be an independent thinker and a doer, which is more important, and that's something that's missing.
A doer. That's right, a doer. In Washington.
Generation of millennials that just want to sit in their house and be entitled to everything.
Yeah.
She seems to be identifying all the issues.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't like millennials, but I like Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer might be Laura Loomer, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk. That's about it. The rest of the millennials.
She's the anti-millennial. Let's call it that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jewish conservative too. So
and it's what's needed out there today. It was just such a breath of fresh air listening to her on the way up.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Brian, I would like to just make one mention before we begin. With next week being Memorial Day, I think it's time that our country will take a moment to remember all the men and women that gave their lives for our country next week. That fought in all the wars for our freedoms. But we are not only fighting for the freedoms of our country from past wars, but we're fighting a war right now with this virus, this hidden war. And it's a hidden war against the freedoms for our country now. So there's been a lot of people that have given their lives with this virus that's out there. And we should all sit back and realize that the government is pushing forth an agenda, progressive agenda, where we're losing our freedoms bit by bit by bit.
This is the largest surrender of freedom that Americans have ever given up at one time without any legislation.
And people getting complacent about that. And that's probably the bigger issue, is that people are taking this for normal. And
the new normal, they call it. The new normal.
And, the
North Korea.
The prophetic words of Norman Thomas, who had run for under the Communist Party for many years, against FDR, we said one day we're going to wake up and all of a sudden we're going to find that we are a socialist communist nation without ever realizing it. And with every crisis, that's what's been happening. We've been giving up bits of our freedom as we've been going along.
Well, I was talking to a caller earlier, and it's almost like what they're doing is a test run, that when the Democrats are back running things again, and sadly they will at some point, I could see them doing what they're doing now for this pandemic for climate change. Right. It's a health hazard, so we got to do it. And there's a precedent. Back in 2020, we shut down everything for the public health. We got to do it again.
Listen, it's the old Alinsky model of just creating fear, and people trade their security, trade their bits of security, or in hopes for security security
Yeah.
based upon the fear, and that's what Alinsky did. And probably the bigger picture that's out there, the more abstract, is this is a culmination of Alinsky and Cloward and Piven.
Yeah.
Cloward and Piven were the utopian socialists that wanted to overload the system back in the 70s. They were professors at Columbia University. And they were going to overload the system so that the utopian socialists can come in on their white horse and save America. Well, right now, we have actually the socialists sitting on the sidelines with the AOCs and literally the entire Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And our system is getting ready to collapse. And
Yeah.
many of the people that are out there are giving up their freedoms, and
Yeah.
this is what's going to happen.
Well, you know,
Slowly,
what's happened over this it's frightening to me. Like about 2 weeks ago, I played this audio on the air a week or two ago. Sheriff's department is called, goes to a woman's house because she took her daughter to a friend's house for a play date. And it was in Wisconsin. And the sheriff's deputies felt totally just in this happening. This is how these dictators and socialists around the world take over. You see so much. Look at what's going on in Michigan. You know, what's going on with this crazed governor in Michigan. I've never seen anything like it.
yeah, but she's getting a lot of pushback, and I think that's good. It's crystallizing what the issue is. Look on the other side in Wisconsin. The Supreme Court voted
Yeah.
against the state. So
That's right.
I think there's an organic pushback across the country. The common men and women are realizing that they don't want to give up their rights.
Yeah.
That, you know, they are willing to take on the individual responsibility, and individual responsibility trumps collective mandates, and
Well,
that's what needs to be understood in this country.
You know, if we didn't, luckily we have Ron DeSantis as governor, a good Republican governor. If Gillum, the guy that was found passed out on the
we would have
floor
been gone.
in the Miami Beach hotel room with the gay prostitute Odin, we would be shut down worse than California if Gillum had been our governor.
Totally.
It'd be a police state. It'd be North Korea right now, Florida.
But I do think that Florida would have risen up against it. I don't think that the local people in Florida would have stood for it throughout the state.
Yeah.
You know, Gillum, we were only 50,000 votes away from having this crazy socialist run our
Yeah.
state. We should be very thankful that DeSantis came in. He's been a tremendous executor for the state, getting the things done that need to be done.
Well,
in proper
DeSantis,
context.
I think Trump is grooming him to be either top or bottom of the ticket in 2024 or beyond, because he was handpicked by Trump. He left Congress to be a governor. DeSantis, when he had his press conference, when he was opening up Florida, he said the prediction said we would need 400,000 hospital beds in Florida. At that particular time, I think we only had 2,500 that were needed instead of 400,000. So DeSantis has been spectacular. Now, Steve's going to be very excited because on Monday you can finally get your hair cut and your beard.
Yes,
Steve
yes.
looks like Santa Claus right now. That beard, I've never seen your beard so. You're getting there. Yeah.
Hemingway. I like Hemingway.
Hemingway?
My eyebrows reminiscent of Andy Rooney.
All right, Hemingway, yeah. Listen, let's take our break. Steve's joining us, Ed Pasquale here, first day in our new studio with Ed. This is our third week here, Ed. It's nice up here, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Isn't this nice? You can stand up. We got a nice view out. It's raining today, but we got a window. You got a view. All right, listen, we'll take our break. Steve joining us. I'm Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. If you'd like to call in, please do. Open phones as long as you're relevant, all right? I don't want the guy calling about the catnip again. But if you're relevant, you're welcome to call 1-888-GO-KANE, 1-888-465-2631. All right, let's take that break. We'll be right back. Now, speaking of the new normal, no, Steve, you got to use that mic and just use those
Which
for this one, and just use those for the headphones. Now, speaking of the new normal, everybody that comes here has to sign this saying that if you get coronavirus here, you won't sue the radio station. I know. You got to write your name at the top. I, Ed Pasquale. I know.
Yeah, listen. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Should this be hanging like this?
It can hang at everything, but that mic on that, yeah, it can hang. It's plugged in. You can hear, right? But you got to use that mic and just use that for headphones.
Can you turn this down a little bit?
Not much.
I got it. It's blowing my eardrum.
Leave it on your.
Just
around your neck
Not too much.
because you're not speaking.
It won't be as loud. The commercials are louder. When we get back, it's not as loud.
Do I need to put the date?
If you don't mind, yeah. It's the 15th.
All right.
Here you go.
Now,
Appreciate it.
let's get to the nitty gritty. Get to the blood and the guts.
I'm ready. Whatever
Right,
you want to.
Wait.
Hi, this is George Corey of the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954-597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
You're stuck in your home and the dog days of summer are coming. It's already happening on the hot days in the late afternoon and early evenings. Your air conditioner's running more.
Yeah, leave it open. It's gets so leave it open. Yeah, leave it open.
Cool. And hold the temperature that
You want it
have
shut?
set on. And in some homes it can't even keep up. Losing the
It helps the internet. The steel door blocks the internet signal.
Comfortable, and to top it all off,
Try
But that microphone on the side, just bend it up. You can't use that microphone. Yeah, just bend it up so it's on your face. You can
Oh, you don't want me?
use it as a headset. Just don't use the mic part.
This is dead.
You're talking into
season
this.
sale. Act now. Save 50%.
You need a pair of headphones like he's got.
You want me to turn this?
That's fine. That's fine.
35%.
All right, we're coming back.
CutMyKilowatts.com at 954
You want me to give him these headphones?
1500. That's
No.
954-939-1500. CutMyKilowatts.com.
All right, come back.
Put your house in the shade today.
Listen to the Steve King Show on iHeartRadio. Just
All right.
All right, Red Pasquale, my favorite guest here.
Good seeing you
Good
again,
morning.
Steve.
Nice to see you.
Wonderful
okay.
studios,
We're gonna
beautiful.
cut right to the. Let's get away from the abstractions and let's get to the nitty gritty.
The meat and
The
potatoes.
famous Steve Kane scale of 1 to 10. Okay, if you look at the situation as it exists tonight, we're getting ready to open up in Broward next week, and you know a lot of things are looking good locally. But the overall system, the overall setup, the overall picture of what's going on out there, on a scale, on the famous Steve Kane scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a spectacular win and 0 being a disaster, where do you see the situation in general terms a year from today? A year from today. Are we in trouble or are we going to triumph?
I think a year today, the American spirit will rise above all of this. The individualism that exists, of what America was based upon, is definitely going to rise to innovate and to adapt and overcome the perils that we've been faced with.
All right, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. All right. Again, we're talking a 12-month framework. What the Democrats are looking for is one, and they only need one, if it's the right one, major catastrophe to occur. All of a sudden, they use it to change the narrative. All of a sudden, whether it's dead school children or something catastrophic, that will become the story. Now that's just, you agree with that. That's how the Democrats operate. They're going to try to do that.
Well, they did it with this. This is a major catastrophe. Nobody saw this coming.
Well, yeah, okay, but
And they utilize this.
yeah, but yes, but it's going to become more pronounced over the next 12 months. It's going to break one way or the other over the next 12 months.
And I think what's going to happen over the next 12 months is right now we've got, with 50 states out there, we've got 50 different ways because he's decentralized the power and
50,
given it.
50 different ways to
50
finish the
different,
sentence.
50 different experiments, so to speak. So within a year's time,
50 different potential catastrophes.
or potential successes.
Yeah, well, but
And-
no. A success, they're going to just say, okay, that's great, we had a success. They're looking for the catastrophe.
They'll-
There will be somewhere out there a catastrophe.
You know, reality has to count for something, and when you look at the success that Florida is having with coming out on this, I think that the successes are going to outweigh the catastrophes.
But I'm not interested in Florida. When I say that, I am, of course, tremendously interested in Florida. It's where all my sponsors are. But what I'm talking about is in a broader sense, what they're trying to do is discredit Trump. They want to win the election. They're going to, anything that breaks, any news that breaks is all going to be geared towards Trump did it, Trump made it happen.
Okay,
It's
you're asking two different questions. One question was, is there going to be a crisis? Are they going to continue? This is the
Are they
same.
going to be successful?
No, they're not, because what's going to happen is it's going to crystallize around the economy come closer to the election. And the real question is going to be, as the economy starts to open up and more and more people are coming out and realizing that it's not going to be as devastating as was originally projected, that all the projections were wrong. I think at that point, it's going to be very simple. Trump's going to say, I brought you guys to greatness once in an economy. Who's better to lead the economy back to where we need to be? And that's going to be a clear-cut issue for Trump.
Sounds good to me. What do you think, my
I
partner
don't.
here?
They're always going to blame Trump for things. We have no
They're gonna
problems.
try, but I
But
mean,
what do you
will they
think,
be
Steve? What do you think is going to
successful?
happen?
I think it's a crapshoot. I think it's scary. I think because all they need is one big mistake, and they can change the whole narrative around. That's just a reality.
They don't need a mistake. They'll make it up. They've been making it up for 3 years now.
There you go.
You know, why do they need a mistake? You say a lie often enough.
Maybe so you see it. You're more pessimistic than I am. They don't even. It doesn't even need to be.
No, I'm
a
more
mistake.
optimistic than you are. You know, Goebbels, who was
But
the head of
you're saying
propaganda
it
for the
doesn't matter if
Nazi...
there's something bad happens to change the good morning, to change the narrative. You're saying they'll make, if it doesn't happen, they'll make it up.
Well, they've been.
Yeah.
You know, they moved the narrative off, and what's really disgusting about the entirety of the way this has been handled from the Democratic side is they've really played politics in this issue when lives are at stake. And there was just absolutely no excuse for that. And I think the American people realize that, and the people in Michigan, the people in Wisconsin, and the people in these states that maybe the independents all around are looking and seeing how crazy it is. When you hear the mayor of LA say, we're going to lock down until August,
Okay,
it's
all
crazy.
right. Let me take one other. So we had a break time here. Or we're at a break time. When we get back, I'll ask the question in advance to let you ruminate upon it. The other big story, of course, is what's going on in Washington. I'm kind of interested on how serious you think that will become for the for the Democrats who are under the gun, because it looks like they had their hand in the cookie jar and got caught all at the same time. Let's take a break. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, my favorite
Yes, that's me.
partner,
Yeah.
and Ed Pasquale will be back right after this.
So you've been told you need a health test. What are you going to have to pay? Health tests can be very expensive.
Oh, glad it's Friday. Next Monday's Memorial Day. We'll take off a week from Monday.
Haven't had lab tests because of the
You
cost.
say so?
Can I
Oh,
just-
yeah.
Any lab test now with Coral Springs. Any lab test now with Coral Springs' goal is to get you all the lab tests you need.
We need you to be
save
more
money,
optimistic,
get you in and
Steve.
out in 15 minutes or less. At any lab test now with Coral
We gotta
Springs, you never
keep
need an appointment,
both
no
sides
doctor's order, or
flowing
prescription
to
needed
get
either.
the
You can walk right in
audience
and have any of
excited.
the thousands of lab tests done for just a fraction of the price of the big labs or your doctor's office
Get them
charge. Give them a call.
upset. It's funny to be upset about that.
For a year, you've been telling me you've been waiting for something to happen. We're starting to see
Oh, yeah.
Little League's coming out. Isn't that good?
We've gotten further in that project than I ever thought we'd get.
And there's a
I think
whole
there's
ton
gonna be-
behind.
Oh, yeah. There's gonna be criminal charges, I believe.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately, I agree with Brian. I'm not sure who will be prosecuted.
96.9
Um,
FM, 103.9
what's his name?
FM, and
The
AM
Falls.
1470.
The guy looks like Peter Boyle in
Butler Beach
Frankenstein.
is the Florida
Brennan and
Voice
Clapper.
of
Clapper.
Brian Craig here.
But none of them are going to
The
jail.
Three Stooges.
None of them are going to jail.
No.
Well, one of them has made a deal, the other
Clapper's made a deal.
Clapper made the deal, Brennan will be.
Steve Kane Show.
Brennan is insidious. He's evil. The rolling pin.
Okay, Barry Siegel.
Price at Friendly Tire. Wow.
Barry Siegel when we get back.
Not only that, this time is with
Can you
nobody
bring me in
at the
here?
time
No, we gotta wait till the breaks.
any mileage guarantee. This is 60,000 mile warranty. So
Wow.
they're not only half the price, the price is
So
good.
you're a repeat customer over there at Friendly Tire. You bought new tires, right? So you bought new tires because they also sell used tires, starting at just $30 for most sizes. But you bought new tires, and they were half the price tire. They
It is.
charge you
What I like about it
as the
is
tire
this.
dispose of your old tires. The price that they give you are
Right on top
the
here.
road. And
They have 4 studios here. This is the one we chose to use.
that's right.
Spent a lot of time with my buddy Benny Mardones going around all the studios around the country, particularly in Florida. We was promoting various records, doing interviews in studios just like this.
954-977-9445. Online,
You like my
friendlytire.net,
United?
or you can
You
just
need a restaurant.
Yeah, we're coming back. We're coming back. Steve, we're coming back.
15th Street in Margate.
Barry
That's
Siegel.
Just a little north of Coconut Creek Parkway on the east side of 441 State Road 7. Well, Conservative Doug, thanks so much, and I'm glad you got such a great deal on your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Listen to the Steve Cage Show.
That's the last recorded commercial of the show.
Search for WW.
All right, and now let's chat with our good friend, attorney Barry Siegel of the Siegel Law Group. Barry, of course, one of the most successful attorneys in town, and he has a very important specialty that you should all think about. It's called elder law, but of course he can tell you better than I. Barry, how you doing this morning? Excellent. That is true. That's an astounding but true. Give Barry a call. Let me give you that number. It is toll free, as is the visit, the first visit, no charge. Toll free 1-855-FLA, as in Florida, 3782. 1-855-FLA 3782. Barry, good talking to you. We'll speak next week. Have a great weekend, my friend. And we are back. Okay.
No, we were talking during the break, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I don't think any of these top people are going to go to jail. Brennan or Comey. It's maybe Strzok.
You know, somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb in here, at the very least.
Well, do you agree, watching this thing go by, we decided the other day, I forget the exact thought process, but that Clapper was the one who is...
I think Clapper and Lisa Page have made deals.
The deal.
Yeah.
I think there's many people that are sitting worried, and they've probably done a lot of talking.
They need someone.
I'll tell you why I don't think any of these people are going to go, because both sides... People forget how Comey got the dossier, remember? McCain. John McCain was in on it. So that means the Republican establishment was involved in it all, because this started during the campaign to stop him from getting the nomination.
Well, you got to remember, McCain and Graham, you know, and Graham is kind of a two-faced...
Snake
is
a
he
bit.
ever?
Well, he needs a strong man in his life.
Yeah, you know, he flip-flops
Now it's Trump.
more than a gymnastic
Well,
Olympic.
it's not easy, and now, of course, justice will be done because now they've been exposed.
Yeah.
Like, that's the justice. They're
Yeah.
embarrassed.
Yeah, they've been exposed. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the first part of it has to be exposed, and I think that's the main thing, is get it out, because you gotta remember, if,
But that's a start, not a finish.
that's okay, but it's a beginning. If you don't have that transparency, if you would have had Hillary in, let's say, for instance, you would never have known any of this. Think of how
Yeah.
far behind we would have been. We've made a lot of headway with this, and I do think that people like Barr and Durham is the traditional Mr. Smith goes to Washington, and I think they're going to clean out. Will the top people go to jail? Probably not.
You gotta
Will they
have
be
one-
identified?
You
Yes.
need, in my opinion, humble opinion, you need at least one of the top guys to do jail time. One. Because that's what sends the message.
Like, who would be the lowest person you would find acceptable?
Oh,
The lowest
I'd
level
rather
person.
go for the highest. I think Brennan is the most
Never gonna
insidious
happen.
out of all of them.
Never gonna happen.
Brennan is
But
one.
Brennan has got alternate agendas, and he's strife with it in his history.
Yeah, but the point is, if we want to prevent this again, we have to send a message to the next generation of Democratic crooks, okay? That they can
Yeah.
end up in prison if they don't watch themselves, and that's what's going to keep the country safe.
Only
Otherwise,
Republicans go to
what-
prison,
what
Steve.
you got, if you don't do that, what you got is a license to steal.
Yeah.
Basically, you're sending a message, oh, you can really pretty much do it. You try to bring down the next president, do any illegal recordings you want to, and don't worry, nothing will happen to you. You won't go to jail.
Again, Steve, I think timing is going to play a big part in this, because Trump needs to win this year, and I do think that there's no issue in it, but more importantly, he needs to get back to House. And if we have control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, I think it will give a lot of impetus to Barr and Durham to
Yeah.
really lay it out there without any repercussions anywhere else, and nobody's going to be able to stop that
And
train.
you should understand that we don't know everything. I'm sure the best is they're saving for last, would be my guess. They have information beyond what has become public at this point.
There's a ton of information, but you know, this,
talking about
listen, this
the
is
real
what
thing.
draining the swamp looks like. And it starts with little leaks here and there,
That's what it smells like.
and it kind of drips out, and before you know it,
Yeah.
there's a crack in the dam. And
Well, you know what? The thing that is the best thing for us to get the House back has been this pandemic, because look at people are pissed off. These Democrats are pissing off their own constituents. Look at that's why that seat flipped in California.
Well, that's what I was saying before. You know what Trump was, which I think he did correctly, was he gave a lot of power. He decentralized a lot of power. Most crises, the president assumes more centralized power. He went to the federalist route and decentralized it back to the states. And in effect is what our country was based upon. It's given the states 50 different experiments, so to speak. And come the election, it's going to be very black and white, with the blue states the way they handle it, and the red states, and you're going to see people prospering and rainbows coming out and people
But
working
did you see
in
Trump?
Florida
Trump
and Texas.
manipulated that. If you remember, Trump manipulated the media. He said, "I'm the president. I'll give the order," and then the media says, "No, you can't. It's up to the states." So we left it up to the states, and what about 46 have opened up, you know, and that's and the Democrats are alienating their own constituents on the eve of the election.
Yeah, but you know, once he gave the power back to the states, then the media complained he should have been more
Exactly,
authoritative.
exactly.
That was the ironic
Exactly.
thing.
Well,
It is-
it was a sucker punch. He suckered him.
Well, you know, when you
Yeah.
say he's got principles, even though he doesn't articulate them many times. I think he's got an intuition about him that he knows right from wrong.
I don't know if it's right from wrong. I think he knows winning from losing, and I think he knows how to come out on top.
No, it is right from wrong. You know.
Well, in this particular case, they don't want to pick a nit here, but in this particular case, every now and then the two coincide, you know.
And, well, that's when you're.
You know, you got to really you think about it though. You look at what Trump's gone through, right? They had the porn star, the sleazy lawyer. They put his campaign manager and his lawyer in prison. All these things, a global pandemic, and he's still on top. I mean, it's like, you know, what's next? They got a plague. I mean, what are they gonna? You know, he weathers
Well,
everything.
This one's yes, and hopefully he's going to weather this one here, but this one is still in progress.
Yeah, but
I think we have to, in the most optimistic terms, we'd have to concede that it's at best in progress.
Again, Steve, when you have righteousness on your side and you have morality on your side, that's a strong power to mobilize the people. And that's how our country was formed with a small group of people that did have the righteousness to go against the feudal systems of Europe.
Now, speaking of mobilizing, we have Richard Pearl from Simply Natural on the line, which is the home for all of our nutraceuticals.
That is for sure.
Oh,
we
man.
are lucky each day to chat with Richard and get his insights, which of course are very, very pertinent to what's going on today. That's for sure. Richard,
we got him
how
on the
are
line.
you? What?
Yeah, we got him on the line.
Got him on the line. Richard, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're there and we're ready to go. What do you got for us this morning?
Well, I think that virus is running its course, and there's a little bit more people that can be sensationalized. There are certainly people that are sick or dying, but we know that almost all of the severity of have some underlying causes that are comorbidities. We also know that many of them are nursing home foot systems, but if you take that population away from the numbers, we know that there's a lot less out there. We also know that people who are officials of government say that even if you're in the hospital, even if you're about to die, end up with corona, they count it as a corona death, even though you would have died anyway. The numbers are the same. We know that there's a bigger issue in government. There's contact tracing issues. There's even an app that violates privacy. Be careful what they're. I gotta say this, we're gonna have a radio here tomorrow. You might show Pro and Health on Saturday live, 12 to 1, and Sundays replay. We're gonna talk about privacy, but we're also gonna talk about government overreach. The truth is, the people I'm most scared of are not the Chinese, it's the policymakers, government, particularly Democratic ones. Again, we have to say this, but the most dangerous people in America, government officials that are Democratic, governors that are Democratic, judges that are Democratic, mayors that are Democratic, that just fighting against the Constitution seems to get odds with Democrats. And I guess it's the fact of that
See.
ironical people. And so the facts are one thing. Facts don't matter when you have this agenda. You only use the facts when they're working for you. You don't use the facts when they're working against you. You see this time to time with medicine. There's no issue, there's no mention of anything national for any of these subjects. You've got YouTube and Facebook and Twitter not allowing you to tell the truth, particularly when it comes to nutrition. They'll take that and those videos down from YouTube. So there's an awareness gap. People don't know the truth. You can be well. This virus is nearly as bad as they want you to believe. But you can't control the people without the fear, and I touched on that yesterday. So the radio show tomorrow is filled with great detail. They'll have a full hour. That's Saturday, 12 to 1. Same station, WNN, working Saturday.
All right.
It's just all the FM stations.
And if they want to find you during the week, and I do want to recommend you stop by Simply Natural when you have a chance, because Richard is not only always there, but he's very accessible.
Oh, a great thing about Simply Natural, they're open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., which is unheard of in retail, but Richard Pearl Simply Natural opens 7 days a week.
Tell them where you are, Richard.
Yeah, we're on the northeast corner of Sunset Strip, University Drive, next to the IHOP, like Haswell, Fargo Bay. I just want to leave one last thing. Your audience is awesome.
Yes, they are.
I started with you guys in 20 seconds. Your audience is awesome. You have such great people, such loyal listeners, people who are really interested in good things in their life. They want control of their life, and that's why I do the show.
Well, that is so neat, and it's so good. I'm so glad we got you as part of our team here, Richard. All right? We will have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you next Monday.
I'm looking forward.
All right.
Stay and don't be careful.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we've known Richard Pearl for about 20 years, Steve and I. We don't know, he's new to you guys to the show, but we've known him for many, many years.
And he's spot on everything that he says on a political realm.
I don't know if he considers himself a libertarian or not, but he's. I haven't heard him say anything politically. He's more in tune with you and the Ayn Rand crowd than.
I would like to. We have set the
Freedom-loving crowd. Let's
Yeah.
call it that.
Yeah.
We have set the table fairly well here. I would like to get some calls in the last half hour of the show and see where the public is coming from on this.
Oh yeah.
What do you anticipate? How will this play out?
No one's going to jail. It's the named person,
Well,
Steve. It's all gonna,
there's
you know,
two
it's not gonna
issues.
happen.
One is all the Michigan stuff got with the
Well, see, there,
virus,
yeah.
and the other one is
This is the biggest political scandal in the history of America. And I'll tell you, I had a story earlier.
Doesn't it depend on how the end goes?
No, there was this one this part of the story was in one of the conservative newspapers earlier this week, and this one shocked me. On January 5th, which was 10, 11 days left of Obama's presidency, he called in all of his top people, including Susan Rice, and some of these people that are top people hang over in the early days of the next administration during a transfer of power. And he told them not to tell the Trump administration about any of this spy operation. So what we have now is Obama, and there's evidence of this, documents of it, ordering a spy operation on the next president. I mean, that's treason. He's not the president anymore. You know, this is the biggest, and the reason I think it
More
happened.
seditious than treason.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Ed may, or I don't know if Ed will agree or not. I think the reason they did this to Trump, they weren't listening in on Flynn. They were listening in on everybody. They used Flynn as an excuse to get the warrant. Usually Trump, I believe, is the first truly freely elected president, all the way back to Washington, that's not establishment. And by the time someone gets there, they're already compromised. So the spy operation was looking for more blackmail material to try to get him under control by the establishment. That was the whole purpose of the FISA warrants. After he won, because he was president-elect then, when the Flynn operation was going on.
There's no question about that. This has been orchestrated a lot earlier than the election.
Yeah.
It's a cabal. There's no
Yeah.
question about it, that it's an orchestrated movement by a small select group of people to not only maintain power, but to increase
We
power.
were talking about treason, and what was the other one?
Sedition.
What is the difference between?
Well, I think a treason is an overt action
Yeah.
for war against the country. It's a call to war.
And sedition.
Sedition is more just an undermining of the principles of rallying the people around
You made
against
that
the country.
right.
I pulled that off the top of my head, so I hope it's
It
correct.
just had my head
But one of the things that I
You went to
think-
Riverdale. Steve went to the same high school as President Kennedy, so he has a Shakespearean-like vocabulary.
Yes,
It's true, he did. I didn't make this true.
Maybe Trump needs to latch on to the words a little bit of Ronald Reagan when he said those 8 famous words that said,
I'm here from
I'm here from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, the most frightening words ever. Ronald Reagan, in one of his speeches, he said that liberals, if they see a fat man standing next to a skinny man, they think the fat man exploited the skinny man somehow to gain all that weight. But what they did is it first began to try to overturn the election outcome, to try to influence the election outcome, and then the moment he won, it became a coup, and it was a coup. And I talked about this a lot. In the first months that Trump was president, they left the West Wing and went and stayed at his resort in New Jersey. It was the first summer. And they said that they were replacing the West Wing's air conditioning system. I think that was a cover operation for the listening.
Sweeping it.
They were sweeping it for the
No
listening
question.
devices. Yeah, that were left behind by Brennan and Comey and Obama. That's exactly what that was.
Listen, Trump walked into a new situation. Unfortunately, he took the advice of Paul Ryan initially, trying to get the lay of the land, so to speak. But it was in short time that he realized that there were a lot of second and third generation people that were in the White House that were looking to.
Here, I
derail
looked
him
up, I
off
looked
his
up
course.
sedition, by the way.
Okay.
Sedition is conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. So I guess that's what they were doing. Yeah, it was
That's
sedition.
exactly-
I don't know. I got to look up the definition for treason. I just
To go on with that.
let me look that one up. Google.
We're talking, and the
The
scientists.
crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. So I think it's sedition.
It's both.
Both, yeah, whatever.
They both fit.
Gelatin or Jello, hot tub or jacuzzi, it's all the same,
It all ends
Yeah,
up
no,
somewhere in the same place.
exactly.
But there was a great quote I heard last week, and it goes to the seditious part of it, that everybody's talking about the science of this virus. And you know what? The science is not locked in there. Every one of these people are bureaucratic scientists. They're not really scientists. They haven't practiced medicine. And the quote I heard was,
He makes it up as he goes along.
and he's been wrong all along.
All the big things.
And well, he's been wrong. First of all, if he's the scientific spokesman for America, I learned, like I said last time, I learned more from Mr. Wizard about science when I was 10 years old.
Mr.
than I have
Wizard.
from
Mr.
Fauci.
Rogers.
Mr. Wizard was around when you were 10? Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes, he was.
I remember Mr. Wizard's World, but
it was great, man.
I didn't think he was around that long ago.
No,
Was
he-
TV back then?
A lot
Must have been
longer
black
than-
and white.
But
Mine was in color.
I think it was Don Herbert was his name, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. Wizard's World.
But it was great. But you know, Fauci had this responsibility as a scientist, and he failed on not only a number of areas, but
If he was a good doctor, he'd be in private practice, not working for the government.
well, obviously, but
You know.
it's not about being a doctor. But one thing he did that he promoted the word of all the studies that were flawed, models that were put out there, and second thing he did was just repeat the words from who. Now, both of those things, if you're the scientist, you are supposed to go out and validate this information based upon your own scientific integrity, which obviously he has none. He did not validate any of the models from his own educational background, and he just repeated the words, and he did not validate
Well,
what
he says is, it wasn't wrong, they were right if you didn't do what I told you to do. And since everyone did what I told you to do, the models appear to have been inaccurate. The models represent what would have happened if you didn't do what I told you to do.
Which leads
That's
to,
what he says.
Which leads to this great quote,
Yeah.
scientists should be listened to, not obeyed.
Well, you know, the thing with, it's just like the global warming scientist. You can find a scientist to tell you anything you want to hear, right? You can,
That's true.
there's a medical,
And they're all motivated. At first I thought it was all greed and money and everybody's fighting for the patent of the company. They have their
The
stuff.
fighting for the grants, it is
stuff.
about money.
But it's not that, it's ego. They ooze ego and it just totally distorts.
Fauci's enjoys the power.
Fauci
He
is-
can
He's got
tell
his 15 minutes of fame.
after 35 years in that job, and he
is
feels it. Yeah.
repugnant. He was one of those guys. I liked him in the beginning.
But you know
when I first heard him, and then he just really.
Trump is slowly
Sour.
pushing him off to the side, and I think more and more people, a lot is coming about. Listen, there was a video that was out 15 years ago that he was in favor of hydroxychloride, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden he's against it.
Yeah, because it cost a nickel a pill.
I'd like to mention something that I heard. I saw a brief thing about a doctor. I forget. I think she was in the state of Texas, that she prescribed 5 prescriptions for hydroxychloride, and the pharmacist refused to fill it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're starting to get this back end from the government
Yeah.
laying pressure on these private enterprises to control where it goes and what comes out.
Well, it's an interesting because the liberals have always said my entire life that medical decisions are between a doctor and a patient, and now all of a sudden with the malaria pill, governors are getting involved.
Well, with the coming about of Medicare, Medicaid, the one payer system, the doctor and the patient has been taken out of the equation and
Yeah.
it's been replaced by government and the insurance companies. That's where we've lost our way with the medical
I
profession.
want to, we got to take a break, but what I want to do is give out the phone number because when we return, I want to get some feedback from the audience. Those of you, especially anybody who disagrees with, I guess we're all.
Who could disagree with all of us?
We're all in agreement here. I
Yeah.
think where we basically, I don't see it.
Yeah, we're in
Yeah,
agreement.
reality has to count for something, Steve.
Okay, well, anyway, if you think you are in touch with reality and you're in the listening audience and want to share reality with everybody, here's the number 1-888, that's 888-1-888-GO-CANE, K-A-N-E, followed by the numeral 1-1-888-GO-CANE-1. We'll be back with your calls after this.
Business owners, is your business open and you want to let your customers know? Have you changed the services you offer and want to get the word out? Let people know you are open for business. This is Brian Craig. Call me at 1-888.
What Richard Pearl do his show for?
His store.
He does from stores.
Yeah.
You are open
But he's on our
for
station.
business. Don't let the coronavirus crisis put you out of business. Give me a call, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631.
Do people go down while we broadcast, or you don't know?
I've not been over there while Steve's been. I haven't been there while he's doing the show.
Who are you talking about?
Richard Pearl, he does a show from his store.
Yeah.
Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will
Very
send a
articulate.
doctor to your house
Yeah,
for
Hey.
all your
All right.
podiatric needs.
Younger man.
The best part of all of that is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7 7060. That's
All right, we're coming back.
597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for it.
And I think I just have this feeling in my heart that there is going to be a good report on the precious metals today. But let's find out. To do that, let us go to a man who knows more about the precious metals than any other man I have ever known. We're talking, of course, of William Youngerman, of William Youngerman Inc. William, of course, advising clients on trends and movements in the precious metals markets for over 50 years, close to 55 years now. And I hope many of you have been, he's been on our show for over 17, 18 years.
Long time.
What?
A long time. Yeah.
And hopefully you have followed his advice as I have. If you have done that, you have a smile on your face. William, how is it looking this morning?
He is looking incredibly strong in light of the fact that major retailers are filing bankruptcies all over the world now, major companies. And the length of safety continues with gold being the number one vehicle, and that is our, yesterday as I started off the week saying I thought we could get towards the $1,800 number for gold very soon. And it looked like we've broken out of that trade race we were in for several weeks.
Wow.
Established new highs. This rally yesterday we saw gold rally up to $15.10 to close at $1,730.70 the ounce. Silver breaking out for big time overnight, but yesterday we saw silver get up to almost $15, closing up 29 cents at $15.86 the ounce. Platinum was up $7.79, and palladium was down $7.17. Overnight, we saw big moves in the precious metals. Like as these flight to safety continues, gold right at $14.90 right now, and $1,745.60 the ounce. Silver up 71 cents this morning at $16.57. Platinum up $9.778, and palladium up $7.71. So moving towards that $1,800 number that we talked about right earlier.
What is the point at which we should do our buying, or is the answer to that any time we can? We can.
Yeah, at this point, a little late now, any kind of pullback is going to be bought. And you can't get too greedy with this one. If you have no precious metals, you've got to get into this market and buy what I consider to be the most important insurance policy you can own as far as financial wealth is concerned. The gold is still $200 from its all-time high that we saw in 2011, and the environment that we have right now is certainly more worthy of a much higher price of gold. The Bank of America is forecasting $3,000 gold.
Wow.
So we're looking for much higher prices. There's no other place to go. The bond yields are ridiculously low, and the stock market is
Yeah.
totally overvalued.
You know, William Youngman, when people hear these incredible gold prices, some people think, well, I don't have enough money to buy a whole ounce. What is the least amount of money someone can come into your store in Boca and pick up gold?
Would be the basic small company, is the 1 10-ounce gold coin, 5 10-ounce gold coin. Very reasonable, and you start picking them up whenever you got them.
Yeah.
Same thing with silver. Silver is the opposite quality beforehand gold. Silver's ratio is still very high. So silver could double in value because gold is basically nothing. So
Wow.
Wow.
value. So we can break up silver as of yesterday and today. So that's been lagging for quite a while. But silver market is
That's how you got involved, Steve, with silver.
And even my little platinum is starting to show some signs of life, which I'm excited about.
right. Platinum has got the downside potential in precious metals and the greater upside potential as we get back into manufacturing of goods and the economy starts to show some kind of a
Sounds like a bargain to me. Anyway, stop by William Youngerman. Do it today. 150 East Palmetto Park Road. That's the Bank of America building. You'll find William on the first floor directly across from the bank. You can reach him by phone if you choose from anywhere in the world. 1-800-327-5010, or go to the website, museum quality website. It's just a wonder to go through. And that's at williamyoungerman.com. William, have a great weekend, and we'll check in on Monday, all right? You take care. All right.
All right, we're back.
Now,
yeah.
Want to take some of these?
Well, the phones are cleared right now, so if people want to call in, please do. People were holding, we didn't get to them, so they got, they moved on.
I see.
But they can call back. The phones still work.
Absolutely.
1-888-465-2631.
Have the courage of your convictions here.
Yeah.
Can I give just
Yes, you
a brief statement? I know there are a lot of people out there that are just
You never give briefs.
vehemently anti-Trumpers, and they kind of they're looking for a reason. I'm going to give you a statement that you can kind of give to them and to the other people that are out there. The worst thing that you can say about Trump is he may not be trusted to save the country. But what you can definitely say is the left is certain to destroy this country.
Well, look what they're doing in California, Michigan, Virginia. Look what they're doing right now.
And that's what's going to come out. And as we close to the election,
They're out of control.
because those policies just do not work in the real world. They're not philosophically based. They're not economically
But this is
based.
what people don't get, these governors, okay? Because they trying to shut down the country's economy to hurt Trump, but they're only aggravating Democrats. It's the Democrat governors are making their Democrat residents suffer, and that's going to depress their vote in November.
It's not only the Democratic vote, it's the common sense people, it's the common people that are out there.
Yeah.
People have this innate sense that there's just
Well,
something
that's
going
the
wrong.
Republicans you're talking
There's a move for power,
Yeah.
there's no question. I mean, just look at AOC is going to be one of Biden's advisors along with Sanders.
Well, he's got to win
Isn't that
first.
great?
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great if they run on that, because when he does come out of the basement, he's going to be kind of like the guy that was in the movie Parasite when he comes out of the
I
basement.
just
Yeah.
want to post it on, I don't know if I told you because I made this bet fairly recently. You know me, I love political betting. I bet on Biden to lose the nomination. And I got 3-1 odds, which means if anybody, if Biden folds up and goes away,
Yeah.
they win $300.
Well,
That's pretty exciting.
But who would they put in place? I think the timing is getting difficult right now.
who wants that? Who wants that losing spot?
You're already 3 steps behind the 8 ball at this point for somebody coming in. It's almost
They're
a
behind
definite
the
loss.
They're behind the 8 ball with Biden. I mean, that's the 8 ball.
I mean, yesterday he said he wouldn't vote for himself. He says, if you believe Tara Reid, don't vote for me. Who says that? Because, if you believe Tara Reid, don't
Everybody
vote.
would get credit for.
And I think with
Yeah.
his name being associated with the unmasking, that he's just
That's
going to
devastating.
flop all over himself when he gets asked directly. And there's been a couple of asking of it. And
And when he's under pressure, he hasn't been put under real pressure with any of his.
Well, see, this unmasking isn't just, okay, these are you have to sign a piece of paper, and and the next step will be, we'll see the log with his signature and Susan Rice's signature and it'll be with his own signature.
these are overt gestures
Steve
that
Kane show.
somebody actually has to take
Yeah, I
to
think he's-
do that. And they go on the record with this.
Yeah.
I think with the good stuff, I mean, I know if I was on the committee going after Biden.
Lindsey Graham.
I would save the best stuff for last. I mean, it's just.
I don't know. Republicans aren't as theatrical in these hearings as the Democrats. You want to take any calls here?
Yeah.
All right, we got time for one or two. You're on the radio. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Please don't be Al.
No, it's not.
Going back to work and getting back to normal. To be perfectly honest with you, I have been from Miami to Palm Beach, and everything is back to normal. The only thing is Palm Beach, they don't wear the mask. But I have shopped everywhere, and there's traffic everywhere. It's just maybe It feels like maybe 5% less traffic, but it's very busy.
Well, that is true unless you're a bowling alley, a movie theater, a bar. You know, those kind of things aren't. You know, but I'll tell you, in my neighborhood, the 2 local bars have opened up. So even
Well,
I'm in Palm
opening up,
Beach.
that's the thing with the bar. These restrictions really take away the reasons that people go to bars.
Next week you'll be able to go to Wings Plus and sit down.
Oh yeah.
Inside.
That's
No
gonna be the
takeout.
best. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
And
for
order a
the
beer.
first meal at Wings Plus.
Oh my goodness, yeah, be a big event. But they got this new rule though to sit. You can only 4 can sit at a table unless you live in the same house. So how are they supposed to police that?
Well, there's a lot of households that have a lot more people.
Yeah, I have 28 in my house. 28. That's
You
with the
know
big
what,
table.
what my son has done, and
Yeah, outside. All right, hey, listen. Thanks for calling. Take care. Yeah, I told you. Yeah, everything's okay.
for the bar, you're talking about the bar. What my son has done is he's put up these little plexiglass shields in between the bar stools that give people a sense of security.
How do you pick people up at the bar if you're separated by a shield?
Well,
That's kind of tough.
Well, then you listen to Fauci and say, "Well, I met you on Tinder, and it's okay."
Yeah, you said it's okay.
Fauci, boy, I love Fauci.
We're all out of time for the week, Steve.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
Show's over.
Well, thank you for having me
Yes,
on
yes,
in
that's
the new
it. Always a
studio.
pleasure, Ed. We
Always
will
a
do it
pleasure.
again soon. And we thank all of you for joining us. We will be back Monday, starting at 6 a.m. Until then, on behalf of my partner, Brian Craig, I'm Steve Kane. God bless America.
Did you know that 2 out of 5 Americans suffer from some kind
Thank
of
you, guys.